A mother was cleaning her 10-year-old son's bedroom one day when she found an adult bondage magazine under his mattress. She was mortified. She put the dirty magazine back under the mattress, thinking that she would show her husband when he got home from work. A few hours later, when her husband got home, she led him to their son's bedroom, pulled out the magazine, and showed it to him. He opened the magazine, slowly flicked through the pages, his eyes wide. Then, he just handed the magazine back to her without a word. So she asked him,
"What do you think we should do?"
The dad paused, cleared his throat, and said, "I'm no expert, but I don't think you should spank him." There was a farmer who grew watermelons. He was doing pretty well, but he was disturbed by some local kids who would sneak into his watermelon patch at night and eat his watermelons. After some careful thought, he came up with a clever idea that he thought would scare the kids away for sure. He made up a sign and posted it in the field. The next night, the kids showed up and they saw the sign, which read, "Warning! One of the watermelons in this field has been injected with cyanide." The kids ran off, made up their own sign, and posted it next to the farmer's. When the farmer returned, he surveyed the field. He noticed that no watermelons were missing, but the sign next to his read, "Now there are two." A lawyer boarded an airplane in New Orleans with a box of frozen crabs and asked the stewardess to take care of them for him. The stewardess took the box and promised to put it in the crew's refrigerator. The lawyer advised her that he was holding her personally responsible for keeping the crabs frozen, mentioning in a very haughty manner that he was a lawyer, then proceeded to rant at her about what would happen if she let them thaw out. Needless to say, she was very annoyed by his behavior. Shortly before landing in New York, she used the intercom to announce to the entire cabin,
"Attention passengers, will you please raise your hand if you're the lawyer who gave me the crabs in New Orleans?"
Billy Ray lines up his young sons and stands before them. With a stern look on his face, he asks,
"All right, which one of y'all pushed the outhouse over the cliff?"
Nobody answers. The boys just look around at each other, shuffling their feet and avoiding their father's gaze. He then asks again, a bit louder this time.
"I said, who pushed the outhouse over the cliff?"
Still not a peep from the boys. Billy Ray sighs and decides to try a different approach.
"Let me tell y'all a story,"
he says.
"It's about George Washington and his daddy. Now, George chopped down a cherry tree, and when his daddy asked him about it, George, he told the truth. Because George told the truth, well, his daddy didn't punish him.
Then he looks at his boys meaningfully and says,
So I'm gonna ask again, who pushed the outhouse over the cliff?"
Finally, the youngest son, barely able to meet his father's eyes, raises his hand and says,
"I pushed the outhouse over the cliff."
Billy Ray, his face red with anger, says,
"Okay then, you can clean the stalls while the rest of us go fishing."
Sniffling and wiping his eyes, the boy asks,
"But Pa, when George Washington told the truth, he didn't get punished. Why did I get punished when I told the truth?"
Ray shakes his head, takes a deep breath, and replies,
"Because when George Washington chopped down the cherry tree, his daddy wasn't in it!"
A lawyer runs a stop sign and gets pulled over by a sheriff's deputy. He thinks he is smarter than the deputy because he's a lawyer from New York and is certain that he has a better education than any deputy from Texas. He decides to prove this to himself and have some fun at the Texas deputy's expense. The deputy says,
"License and registration, please."
"What for?" asks the lawyer. The deputy says,
"You didn't come to a complete stop at the stop sign."
"I slowed down and no one was coming," protests the lawyer.
But you still didn't come to a complete stop,
says the deputy.
License and registration, please.
The lawyer says, "What's the difference?"
The difference is you have to come to a complete stop. That's the law. License and registration, please,
demands the deputy. The lawyer says, "If you can show me the legal difference between slow down and stop, I'll give you my license and registration. If not, you let me go."
That sounds fair,
says the deputy.
Please exit your vehicle, sir.
At this point, the deputy takes out his nightstick and starts beating the lawyer with it. Then he stops for a moment and says,
"So, you want me to stop? Or just slow down?"
A bus stops and two Italian men get on. They seat themselves and begin to engage in animated conversation. A lady sitting behind them ignores their conversation at first, but her attention is galvanized when she hears one of the men say the following.
Emma come first, then I come. Then two S's come together, I come once more. Two S's, they come together again, then I come again, and P twice. Then I come one last time.
The woman sitting behind them is shocked.
You foul-mouthed swine!
Retorted the lady indignantly.
In this country, we don't talk about our sex lives in public.
Hey, cool it down, lady,
says the man.
Who talking about a sex? I'm just telling my friend how to spell Mississippi.
A guy lands a new job, and his boss offers him a deal.
"If you marry my daughter, I'll make you a partner, give you an expense account, a Mercedes, and $1 million salary."
Curious, the guy asks, what's wrong with her? The boss shows him a photo, and she's extremely unattractive. The boss adds,
"Not just ugly, she's also as dumb as a rock."
The guy replies, "No thanks, no matter what you offer." The boss ups the ante.
"How about a $5 million salary and a mansion on Long Island?"
The guy thinks it over and decides to accept, figuring he can always put a bag over her head when he sleeps with her. A year later, he's hanging an original Van Gogh painting that he bought with his newly acquired wealth. Climbing a ladder, he calls to his wife, "Bring me a hammer!" She mutters,
Get the hammer,
and fetches a hammer. Next, he says, "Get me some nails!" She mumbles,
Get the nails,
and brings him some nails. After realizing the nail won't hold the painting, he calls out, "I think I'll need a screw!" His wife mutters,
Get the bag!